London. And then...
Now, before, sorry to interject me.
Oh, thank you, sir.
What date was this? Was it the 18th or the 17th?
It was the Monday, which was the 17th, when she was taken.
Yes. You may then proceed.
The time was 12:05, 5 minutes past 5. They arrived at about 10 to or 5 to, but because no chance was given, they left at about 5 past 12. It was very short.
All right.
And then I spoke to this investigating officer and said, can you gentlemen please make sure that this client arrives in the Eastern Cape? And that big gentleman, he said to me, you know the Eastern Cape is far, so she may not appear on Tuesday, but she will appear on Wednesday. Oh. I am saying this, Honorable Your Worships, because I was not told, as the attorney who had placed herself on record, and I had given the big gentleman my telephone number, I was not told that this client is going to appear at Randburg Court instead of coming directly here.
May we refer to this gentleman as Mr. Ledimo, am I correct?
Yes, the reason why I'm not referring to him as Mr. Ledimo will become clear when I go down, although he had said he's Mr. Ledimo. And then this big gentleman then did not tell me that the client is going to appear in Randburg. Then when I arrived at our offices the next day, I tried to get a local attorney here. I did not know Mr. Somayela, but through the discussions we had with him, we felt that he is a good attorney. But there is something else which I must also explain. Before I came to Mr. Somayela, I phoned Mr. Bangani because Mr. Bangani has acted for the accused here, for the applicant, sorry, she's the applicant presently, for the applicant here. I said, Mr. Bangani, can you please remind me, did you not speak to the investigating officer when Mrs. Kwinana was, because Mr. Bangani, Your Worships, was the attorney who delivered that sick note to court. And then Mr. Bangani said, yes, I did, but those people were arrogant. Because I had said to Mr. Bangani, please speak to the investigating officer and make arrangement for you to take the applicant, the client there. So Mr. Bangani said, these people are very arrogant. In any event, on Wednesday, because then I was told that the applicant will appear on Wednesday. Then on Wednesday, although I was in Pretoria, I instructed first Mr. Bangani to track down for me the prosecutor and the investigating officer who I knew as Mr. Ledimo. Because I had spoken to Mr. Ledimo the previous day. Mr. Ledimo had said, no, they will not oppose me. I've got his phone number there. Then, Mr. Ledimo, then I said, Mr. Bangani must go speak to him and the prosecutor so that the client can be presented to court on a Wednesday. Then what happened is, when I continued my conversation with Mr. Ledimo, the person who had called himself Mr. Ledimo, he said on my phone, I am actually Ledimo, I didn't go to Johannesburg. Which means that big officer who had said he's the investigating officer was not the investigating officer, but I don't know what his name was. But Mr. Ledimo was the man who was the investigating officer here. Then I humbled myself because that is always how I work. I said, Mr. Ledimo, thank you that you have now identified yourself as the investigating officer. We want to instruct an attorney in the Eastern Cape to assist a client for bail. Mr. Ledimo said two things. First, he said, you know, the reason why I don't get on well with these Bangali people is because these people are used to these offenses of chicken and cows, and they are arrogant. And then he also reiterated that this applicant is stubborn. They never use the word arrogant. They use the word stubborn and cheeky. And they are going to show her. And he said, it is for that reason when we spoke to you, we didn't tell you that we are going to arrest. We wanted to punish her, show her who we are. we are the provincial police team. Because I asked him, because I stay in Pretoria, I say, but is Ledimo a Xhosa? He said, no, we are the provincial police. So we are going to show her.
All right. Just there, man, just there. Did you understand my client as a person who is cheeky and stubborn? I'm saying this judging from her conduct of availing herself, directing the police to where she was, I'm sorry.
If I may answer, apologies, Your Worships, because maybe I'll be a bit long. Mrs. Kwinana holds the qualification of a chartered accountant. Ever since the Zondo Commission, she has faced a number of allegations and bad publicity. That has made her a bit firmer than she used to be. So she knows the need to cooperate with the police. That's why I am saying, when she had a matter, this matter that is a pending matter where there was confusion about she saying is failure to disclose a conflict of interest. I explained to her and I accompanied her to go visit the offices of the Hawks. She was on good terms with them because I explained the procedure. That's why I had phoned Mr. Bangani to explain the procedure to her here and take her to those police. And there, everything was so cordial, Your Worships, in so much that, yes, when we wanted to buy drinks for all of us, the officers refused because they said they would be compromised. But we all went to the police station, and from there we went to the regional prosecutor, Mr. Mhlongo. Bail was arranged. It was not even opposed because there was cordiality. So she was not cheeky, she was not anything. She just had an attorney to keep saying to her, this is the process, this is how it works, and she was satisfied with that.
Thank you. You may proceed at a point where I interjected you.
Thank you, colleague. And then it became then clear that there was no docket. That is what Mr. Bangani came back to me to say. There is actually no docket. Because of the difficulties, we asked a local lady here who is a relative, Unolundi Kwinana, to please go track down this investigating officer who is Mr. Ledimo and the prosecutor. Unolundi Kwinana waited outside, and then I spoke to that Mr. Ledimo who was on the phone. And Mr. Ledimo now changed tack completely. He said, first, there is no docket. The docket was left in Johannesburg. It's going to come by an afternoon flight. So, and then I knew that if there's no docket, then the matter will not go to the prosecutors. I then phoned Mr. Tsebekulu. Tsebekulu had phoned me. He was the officer who had accompanied the applicant to come here to the Eastern Cape. I said, Mr. Tsebekulu, where is the docket? Mr. Tsebekulu hesitated once and said, the docket is here in my bag. Then I said, but Mr. Tsebekulu, I had told you that the investigating officer is Mr. Ledimo, and I had explained to you that the client is supposed to appear today. Why don't you take the docket to the investigating officer? That is Mr. Ledimo. Mr. Tsebekulu said he is going to do that. After about 3 hours, I discovered that Mr. Tsebekulu had not done that. Mr. Tsebekulu did not say anything negative about the client, about the applicant. But when I went back to Mr. Ledimo to say, Mr. Ledimo, I understand now that we've got the docket, Mr. Ledimo now became angry with me. He said, you know what? You are confusing me. I'm busy with one court, you're making me to be busy with another matter that is not here. Then it became clear that the relationships had broken down. So the client then would not be brought into court as we had been promised. The client would be brought here in court. So that is how it happened then, insofar as the arrest and the non-cooperation, which your worships, I'm honest to say, we just did not get any cooperation from the investigating officers, except the repetition that this applicant is a stubborn person and they're going to show her because they are provincial police.
Now, let's move. Thank you for such a narrative. Let's go to the issue. You seem to have knowledge about the issue of the orders that were granted.
Yes. Your Worships, it is true that this applicant does not have personal assets per se, but her family, via a number of trusts, I think there are about 3 family trusts, and via this property development company, Slipknot, specifically Slipknot Investment, owes this property that is here in East London, which in a way is the foundation of these charges. When this client did the eviction, the attorney who was instructed was Mr. Bangani, and he did a good job. Because Mr. Bangani did succeed in getting an eviction. The eviction is very difficult because even after you get the order, people do not necessarily obey the order. So what happened is that although the order, this is now hearsay evidence, Your Worships, although the order was displayed throughout the settlement, the people continued to go and build. If I may beg leave that I can read the relevant portions of this order. It was Exhibit A when it was given. Just to explain to Your Worships how I see this order. Thank you, Your Worships. What is important about this order of 25th November 2020 is the fact that, Your Worships, it says in the second page thereof, in paragraph 1.2, it says, the first respondent or any other person be interdicted and restrained from erecting any structures on the aforementioned land. What I do not know, Your Worships, and because at this stage, as attorneys of record, we do not have access to the docket, understanding that the law does not give us access to the docket. But we understand that both the investigating officer and the prosecutor have a duty in law and according to case law that they should put before this court all the evidence, including the evidence that actually tends to make this applicant to be awarded bail. So I do not know now if the state, including the IO, has a list of the names of these people and the time when they erected their structures. Because the first point I need to bring to the attention of the Honorable Court is that in terms of that paragraph 1.2, if these people who are now complainants in this matter, if they came in and erected structures after 2020, then it means that those people were in violation of that court order, paragraph 1.2, therefore, which says, the first respondent or any other person be interdicted and restrained from erecting any structures on the aforementioned land. So I do not know. Maybe when it is time for the state to present its case, they will clarify this for the court as to when did these people erect their structures, because there was this court order. The second thing I want to bring, I want to testify on is paragraph 1.3. It says, the first respondent is hereby ordered to demolish and remove any structures erected or placed on the aforementioned land. The first respondents, Your Worship, in this order, which is Exhibit A, is actually the illegal squatters. So these illegal squatters, who I understand are complainants, if they were there in 2020, there was a court order that said they must demolish and remove the structures. And then I think when the prosecution calls them, the prosecution will enlighten this Honorable Court as to when did they build their structures. Because either on 1.2 or 1.3, they would be falling foul of this order. And then paragraph 1.5, I am skipping, Your Worship's paragraph 1.4. Paragraph 1.5 is the one that authorizes the applicant. It says, In the event the first respondent or any other person failing to remove the structures and vacate the property as ordered above, then the Sheriff of the High Court, duly assisted by members of the SA Police Services, Fleet Street Police Station, is authorized to demolish, remove any structures, and evict the first respondent from the aforementioned property. That paragraph 1.5 authorizes her to evict. I have been told by people that there is an attorney here who is acting on behalf of the applicants who has said that the applicant could not demolish because that order says it must be the sheriff. I want to give this evidence, Your Worship. The sheriff, the last time I heard about demolition, her name was Nomandla Ndabeni. She comes from Ngeleni. She was our candidate attorney. I phoned her specially to assist with this demolition. Unomandla said, yo, Miss Mbanjwa, I will charge 1.6 million. I was shocked in order to do this demolition. So it became clear that Miss Ndabeni needs 1.6 million in order to effect the demolition. That is when then it became incumbent on this applicant to start doing the demolition herself. And according to me, because I asked her, I said, hey, how are you going to afford this money? 1.6 million. And you are still facing problems here with the other matters from the Zondo Commission. She said, I'm going to do it step by step. I'm going to raise money, demolish one. Raise money, demolish two. So that is how then I understood the demolition would happen. Because Ms. Ndabeni had said, I did beg Ms. Ndabeni. I can say it to her if she comes here. Why is it so expensive? Then she said, unfortunately, these TLBs, everything is expensive. So that is how then this demolition happened. When I came here, after we had trouble with the investigating officer, why I flew down from Pretoria, is to try see if I can speak softly to the people, because I came to understand that the provincial police are petty speaking. That is what Mr. Lodimo said. I don't really speak petty, but I can understand it. So I came to beg him. So when I arrived here and looked for the prosecutor, I was told that because I thought the regional control prosecutor would be the person to whom we would present this documentation so that the state has this. But the long and short of it, he said he's out of the matter. I was given a sitting lady prosecutor, Mrs. Nolusu. She also apparently became out of the matter, and then we ended with a lady I do not know. And then eventually we were told to come to this bail court. But the most important thing, which I am guided by your worships, which I do not understand to be the legal position, when I wanted to hand in evidence, which I think in terms of the law, and also in terms of the policy, because the way I understand it, the prosecutors are governed by a policy on fair prosecutions, although it's an old policy dated 2013. My understanding is if there is evidence which you think they do not have, which assists your client, you give them that evidence. I was told that no, I mustn't hand in any evidence, which is why then eventually we ended up in this bail court. But that prosecutor, I want to make the record straight, it was not Mr. Nzampa. It was that other lady who I'm said is Mrs. Nolusu. So then we ended up here. And then the difficulty I have, but that is for my learned colleague, is the fact that we were not told the basis on which, the state is opposing this matter. Maybe my learned colleague as the lead attorney now understands. There is just something else, your worships, which I want to explain. And I may be using legal terminology, but I am forced to, because when this witness was cross-examined, I had a feeling that the prosecution, that is the state, does not understand how court orders work. Firstly, any court order exists in perpetuity unless it's an interim order. So therefore, when my learned colleague, the prosecutor, was saying this order of 2020 awarding the demolition was overridden by the order of Madam Justice Hartley because it was a 2024 order, he is wrong in law. He can also go research his law. That order remains valid. The order that is not valid and is incompetent, actually, and this will be argued in civil law by my learned colleague here, because this matter now has become a mix of criminal and civil law. The order that is actually incompetent and invalid. Apologies, Your Worship.
Your Worship.
Apologies, Your Worship. Still under oath. And then- Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worships, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm sitting down because we are in adjournment.
No, I'm just saying.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship.
Still under oath.
Thank you, Your Worships. And then, Your Worship, I was still saying that. Apologies. And then, Your Worships, I was still saying that insofar as my learned colleague, the prosecutor, has said that that judgment overrides this existing judgment, he is wrong in law. That judgment, which gave the demolition order in 2020, remains valid until today. If the complainants were either at the time part of that judgment, then, and they did not stop erecting structures, first they did not demolish, then they were in contempt of that judgment. And secondly, if the complainants built after that judgment of 2020, they are still in contempt of that judgment because that judgment said they must not go build there. So in any event, there is no way they can escape that contempt. And we understand as lawyers what happens if you are in contempt of court. In actual fact, if these complainants who have laid a complaint against this applicant are part of the court orders or of the court application, which my learned colleague was cross-examining Mrs. Kwinana on, those people are not supposed to be even before court because they are in contempt of court. If you are in contempt of court, you cannot approach a court for a remedy that pertains to the matter you are in contempt of. And the reason is simple, nobody would respect the court. And it would mean that these matters are appealed via backdoor. So they cannot even be there, actually. I do not understand because I'm not the attorney dealing with this matter, and Mrs. Kwinana, through lack of funds, did not have legal representation there. If there was an attorney there or an advocate, that advocate would have said, these people cannot file even a replying affidavit because they are in contempt. And my understanding from Mrs. Kwinana is that they were told that by a Judge Zilwa, the Honorable Judge Zilwa told them that you are in contempt. Now, they are not only in contempt of a court order that they are violating. Now they have become bold and are here now in this court suing or laying a complaint against this client for malicious damage to property. I was born in Kumbu, but I don't stay here. So some of them did not know me. But I saw them. They were standing outside, a lady wearing blue, saying God is working. But they know that they are in violation of this court order. Let us now move on, your honorable worships. And now I come to this issue of this court order. The one my learned colleague now was reading here, saying, wasn't the applicant aware of that court order? Again, my learned colleague is wrong in law. That court order is incompetent. He can go research that. It is incompetent in the sense that you cannot have a subsequent order that is in conflict of an existing order unless that prior order had been set aside. So what is going to happen now, seeing that now this applicant is now facing criminal charges? We will then become legal representatives and we will present this argument by form of heads of argument in court. The other thing which I want to touch on, my learned colleague has said that is the applicant aware of the fact that those people who are busy with that unlawful application in the High Court, because that is an incompetent application. These people who are busy with that incompetent application have now indicated that they are going to continue with their contempt and now bring another application for further demolition. I just want to correct because I think my learned colleague has either read papers that have been shown to him and not been shown to me. But the papers that I have read are like this, and I think they are the correct ones in procedure. One, if there is already a matter that is before court, you cannot add into that matter by creating a new matter. You are otherwise bringing a new application. So the procedure my learned colleague was cross-examining on is incorrect. It could not be. I saw the papers, and what those people want now, they want to file a supplementary affidavit. So that notice of motion is actually, because in terms of civil procedure, you can only file only 3 sets of affidavits. Now they want to file a 4th set of affidavit because this case that they have come here to complain about for this malicious damage to property and extortion, they are still busy with it there in the civil court, where they want that supplementary affidavit to be filed. Initially, I was not going to be involved in this matter, but I've said to this applicant, I've said, I'm going to draft papers. And in those papers, we are going to block the admission by the court of that supplementary affidavit because these are people in contempt. They're not supposed to be before court. There's a constitutional court to that effect. They can only be before court if Mrs. Kwinana has agreed as an agent of Slipknot investment that they should file. So what is happening in that court, with all due respect, is unlawful or incorrect. But we will argue that at the correct time. So what we are then saying then, your worships, is the fact that this order, which the client was cross-examined on, is an incompetent order. In any event, but this I leave to the honorable worships. In any event, the question here is, how does a person in criminal proceedings become accused of an event in civil procedure where that event is in any way incompetent? But now I want now to come to another issue which I have just marked. I'm not very far, your worships, from finalizing the things that I wanted to.
Was the incompetent order challenged?
The incompetent order has been challenged in this way, your worship, in the sense that that order issues from a rule nisi. That rule nisi has not been confirmed. So what the client then did, she filed an opposing affidavit. And then the other side was supposed, after filing opposing affidavit, the other side was supposed to then close their matter and file heads of argument. They could not file heads of argument. Then this applicant drafted her own heads of argument. Then all I did, I took the heads of argument and I reworked them, because I said, the reason why I'm reworking the heads is because the heads must raise the issue of contempt, must raise the fact that what these people are doing here, they're not supposed to be before this court, and must also raise the fact that there is a competent order on the basis of which you are acting. So I said this applicant must file those heads. What I am now going to file when we leave this court, hoping that your worships will grant the bail which my learned colleague is arguing for, is to go back now and bring an application blocking the filing of that supplementary affidavit and filing a counter motion to say that matter should be dismissed and struck off the roll. So that is what we are going to be doing, your worship. And then, your worship, I know for a fact, but it will be for the lead attorney to decide. I know for a fact that there are people outside who are prepared to come and testify that actually the payment of rent, which the state interprets as extortion, was agreed upon. I'm not going to waste by giving a long testimony. Your worships have already seen the orders. All I want to say to your honorable worships is the fact that I have been included in a WhatsApp. I just don't have time to read WhatsApps. Not that I'm too busy or making money. I'm just not a cell phone person. I'm just not a cell phone person. But in that WhatsApp, there was a group that was collecting this money. So they would say so-and-so hasn't paid or so-and-so has paid, something like that. But if the court is of the view that we should download those WhatsApp, we can download those WhatsApp. They are a clear indication that the people were willing to pay and they were paying willingly. I've got them on my phone, which is there, your worship. I don't think there is anything. Colleague, is there anything you want me to say?
I think the court should be satisfied, and I am satisfied.
The only other thing which I just want, sorry colleague, it is very, very important that I say this point. When this applicant, your worships, wrote, when she testified here and said the charges are saying that there was conflict of interest, I must take that as my fault, because in actuality it's true what my learned colleague was saying, to say it is written as fraud. But the reason why I explained what it was is because when the prosecution, who is Mr. Mshongo there, when he put in the fraud, he built the fraud on the nature of the offense to say there was that non-disclosure. It's for that reason why we are before court on the basis of section 83 and 84 of the CPA, saying that there is actually no criminal offense. I've already made those arguments, and Mr. Mshongo has already made his own arguments, and the judgment has been reserved in the Palm Ridge Court, because we are arguing there that actually there is no criminal offense, and the presiding magistrate there said he still wants to go through the case law we had represented, and the matter has been postponed to the 12th of April.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's everything.
I'll give it a chance to cross-examine.
Apologies.
Yes, yes. Mrs. Bandra, it's correct that you are the instructing attorney in this matter.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. And you are also, it's your evidence that you're objecting to this interim order. What you're saying is it's invalid. That's what you're saying. Is that correct?
Okay. I don't know what is correct. You are saying I objected to the interim order.
What I'm saying is that you're saying that this interim order, what I just forget.
You refer to it as an exhibit.
The exhibit, yes, I believe it's exhibit B, Your Worship. Exhibit B. You are saying that it's not sound in law. Is that what you are
Yes,
saying?
that's what
Thank
I'm
you,
saying.
ma'am. And being the instructing attorney and having been given a chance to look at exhibit B, why then did you not tell your attorney to object to the handing in?
No, we are not objecting to the exhibit. Remember, we would be killing our case.
All right.
What we are doing, we are pointing out to the honorable your worships here that the state is relying on incorrect evidence. We wanted you to present that evidence. It's a good thing for us that it is before court.
All right. Okay. Yes. Let us go back to the date of the incident. You mentioned that you were with the applicant on that date. Is that correct?
If the date of the incident is the
17th,
arrest,
the
yes,
date of
I was
the
there.
arrest. Yes, ma'am. And you were here before court when the applicant mentioned that she was not aware that it was the police who were entering the premises.
Yes, remember, she said she was not aware that it was the police. Maybe I don't know what she thought of, but the truth of the matter, normally the arresting police are ordinary people like this gentleman. They don't come with these hoods, you know, and what are these things? And rifles. You see, maybe that is what confused him.
So
And I also asked the police, why are they so heavily armed? You know what they said? They said the police who went there are actually a special attack force because they were told that this client is dangerous.
Okay. So on the day of the incident, did you observe any whether the vehicles that were there, were they marked vehicles or they not marked vehicles?
Listen, sir, they were police vehicles. I can point out the police. You see, that's why we allowed it. That's why I said, go, Mrs. Kwinana, because they are the police. There was a colored gentleman with gold teeth. He opened his thing and said, I'm a warrant officer. To say, here is a sign, I'm a warrant officer, but he didn't give us what was important. That is that J50 thing.
Yes, I'm just asking, reason being, your client mentioned that, oh, yes, the client mentioned that she had no idea.
Your Worship,
There is a police.
I think this question is directed to the wrong person. That the client answered for herself,
Reason
and not for this witness to answer for the client.
Thank you for you.
Reason why, Your Worship, the state asked this question is that if the cars were marked vehicles and the police were uniformed police, why then would she say in her testimony that she didn't know they were police?
Again,
For arguments, yes, Your Worship. We'll just reserve that for arguments. I just
and
wanted
also,
that.
Your Worship, that was answered. That my client was afraid and she was in a state of shock. She was not aware who these people are. Because the people who were to arrive in her house were the people to take the statement. Yes, Your Worship.
To be honest, colleague, I almost cried. It's just that I didn't want to cry because I'm an attorney and I'm older than the applicant. Otherwise, I was so shocked.
No further questions, Your Worship.
None whatsoever, Your Worship.
Thank you, Lord.
Your Worship, just one witness for us, Miss Mbidi. I think she is outside.
Nongo sasa namhapa. Sizawucela uNtozantoto.
Akho nto ime phambi kwakho sesingayithetha inyaniso phantsi kwefuzo senkundla.
Ayikho nto.
No objection, Your Worship.
You swear that the evidence you shall give is the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, if there is something that is upright in case nothing wrong.
Uyafunga umntu ndizomnika apha yokuba inyaniso epheleleyo. Ukuba kunjalo, uphakamisa isandla sakho sokunene, sincede kwezithetha inyaniso.
Sincede Nkosi ndithethe inyaniso.
Mrs. Son, in Your Worship.
Taking into account my blood.
Yes, Your Worship, I will be very quick with this witness. Ma'am, I understand that you are also called Miss PD. Are you Miss PD?
Yes, it's my maiden surname.
Yes, that is my maiden surname.
Yes. Miss PD, where do you stay? Or Miss, what is the saying that you are shocking?
uthi ngubani ke nemifane yakho?
Mphafa.
Mphafa.
Miss Mpafa, where do you stay?
Uhlala phi wena nkosikazi Mphafa?
Ndihlala eRockville kufarm 925.
I live at Rockville, Farm 925.
And do you know the applicant is for what?
Uyamazi umceli ibheyili nolapha enkundleni namhlanje?
Ndiyamazi ngoku kodwa bendingamazi ufika kwam.
Yes, I know her now, but I didn't know her when I arrived.
Explain just that part.
Naba nje kuloo ndawo ke ngoku
When you arrived, you did not know, you know her now.
uthi kaloku ngoku kufika ungekamazi kodwa uyamazi ngoku.
Ndifike ngoDisemba nge-2nd kaDisemba ngo-2019. Ndifika kumhlaba ekuthiwa ngumhlaba kaThixo bagece ihlathi.
I arrived in December 2019. When I arrived there, I was told that it was the soil of God. The area was cleared.
Yes, proceed.
Zifikile impepha zokuqala zifika ndikhona. Kulapho ndibonileyo khona uba umhlaba unomnini.
And then the first documents arrived. It is when I realized that this soil has got an owner.
Yes.
Zithi impepha wena usele uphakathi phuma wena ungekangeni sizoba sangena.
These papers were stipulating that you that is already in, you must move out, and the person that has not yet moved in must stay out.
Sinabantu ke besibabiza ngoba zikomiti sizithathile impepha zethu sazihendlisha kubo.
We've got these people whom we call our committees. We took the documents to them.
Yes.
Bathe bona ewe umhlaba unomnini. Kodwa ke salani yakhani ikritshi yakhani nezikolo uzawunithethelela urhulumente nokhe nibe baninzi apha.
And then when they returned, they answered by saying, we must stay. And we must build creches, we must build schools, and the government will speak up for us.
You were also encouraged to multiply.
Netsho ukuthi yakhani nigcwale kugcwaliswe indawo.
Ewe.
Yes.
Proceed.
Kwathiwa ke
Who must have set those?
Ngubani lo uthetha loo nto yamazi igama lakhe omnye wabo okanye ziikomiti bezithetha ngexesha
zikomiti
elinye?
no ukhona umama wayesiphethe kwakusithiwa ngumama uDora kodwa ke ikomiti zazithetha namxhelo.
What happened there, the spokesperson there was Mrs. Dora, but the committees were agreeing to what she was also saying.
All right. Yes, proceed.
Qhuba.
Liqhubekile ke ixesha watsho esithi uba sike sanexesha elide noko akuzuba lula ukuphuma.
And then it was also stated that if we are staying there for a long period, it will not be easy for us to be removed.
To cut matters short. Umama uKwinana ufikile okokuqala.
Mrs. Kwinana came at some stage on the first occasion.
And you met her?
Wahlangana naye.
Yes.
Yes.
Wathetha nathi umama uKwinana kodwa ke singabanye saba stubborn kuba sasinelathemba loba siza kwakhelwa izindlu.
Well, Mrs. Kwinana spoke to us, and because we were stubborn, thinking that houses should be built for us.
Now,
Umama
just on that point, ma'am, how did she speak to you? Did she speak to you as individuals or did she call the community?
Ebethetha nani mntu ngamnye ngexesha lakhe okanye ubize abahlali uba mabasondele bazomamela uba uthini na?
Umama uKwinana ubize abahlali wazazisa engazange alwe nathi.
She called the community, introduced herself, not fighting with us.
Approximately how many, members of the community in that space?
Xa uthekelela mhlawumbi bebenoba ngaphi abahlali bebephayana ke ngoku ngalamini
No, generally in that space. piece of
Okay,
land.
masithi ke ngoku kulaa ngingqi ngelaa xesha bebesebengaphi abantu ababehlala phayana kakade?
Bese sifikile phaa ku-8.
We were around 80 people.
Would you also confirm that a major number to 80 must have attended?
Ukuthi ungavuma ukuthi phaa kwi-80 abantu mhlawumbe bebesebekhona abantu ebebezile entlanganisweni okanye noko abantu abaninzi abafike kwi-80 okanye nje ngaphantsi ko-80 kancinci.
Bebesebezile entlanganisweni sebewuvile nomhlaba uba ithini into yabo.
They had attended the meeting before and they had already heard who this land belonged to.
To the gist of the meeting, what transpired there?
Okay, izaphe kugcwele ke ngoku entlangano uba kwenzeka ntoni na phayana.
Entlanganisweni umama uKwinana uzamile ukusibonisa wathi wabe usinika nehistory yomhlaba esasingayazi singabanye abantu.
In this meeting, Mrs. Kwinana tried to explain to us, even explaining to us
What did she say?
wathini kanye kanye amazwi awasebenzisayo.
Umama uKwinana wasixelela into yoba i-eviction siyifumene, i-court order siyifumene. Kodwa
She told
ke
us that we had received an eviction and a court order, but
kodwa ke sacela thina singabanye uba siyacela mama uKwinana kule meko sikuyo singenayo nendawo uhlala ayikho na enye indlela esinokwenza ngayo.
well, and when we requested her, Mrs. Kwinana, is there maybe any other alternative you can come up with in this problem that we do not have any shelters or place to stay in?
Satsho sicela ukuba singakwazi nawe uyawunkqonkqoza kwamasipala sifike sibeke le ndaba simcela naye asincedise ngoba nguye umntu at least onokwazi ukuthetha uba aba bantu bahleli kule ndawo sibe nathi sisithi singaba bantu bahleli kule ndawo asinayo indawo.
We requested her if we could approach the municipality so that she can also agree and tell the municipality, here are these people, they need a place to stay, they do not have alternative place to stay.
And what was removed during these deliberations?
Isimo sinjani ngoku kulo lonke ke ngoku elibhunga lenu phayana?
Isimo ngoku okanye ngoko
Ngala mini kaloku nisentlanganisweni nimcela nidomboza apha kuyo.
isimo sasirayithi ngelaa xesha.
The mood was good at that stage.
Yes, proceed.
Kodwa ke isimo sirayithi umama uKwinana sekufuneke enabo abantu abamjongileyo nabamkhuselayo uzukhumbule ibingesithi sonke ebebethetha le nto.
Well, the mood was also in that fashion that Mrs. Kwinana had also had to bring along some people that could protect her because all of us were speaking in one language according to this situation.
But would you say the majority of the people were actually in concept or in agreement with Ms. Kwinana?
Kodwa ke ungathi ubuninzi babantu ke ngoku bonke bebethetha le nto ithethwa nguMrs. Kwinana na?
Ewe kangangento yoba sinoWhatsApp sibaninzi phaa unoba ngabantu nje abayi-8 abangekhoyo phaa. Sesinegrupu naye ngoku.
Yes, we also had a WhatsApp group. I think there's about 8 people only that are not on the WhatsApp group, and she's also part of the WhatsApp group.
And what is this WhatsApp group for, man?
Ithetha ukuthini ke ngokule group yenu ye-WhatsApp? Ayokuthini?
Kulapho sikwaziyo uncokola. Oh, siyile kwamasipala.
We did go to municipality.
Safike sacela nomama uKwinana asincedise ekuyeni kwamasipala.
We approached municipality asking Mrs. Kwinana to also assist us in going to the municipality.
Kulapho kuvele khona ke into yoba umama uKwinana uya-owa umcimbi we-rates. That is umbane namanzi esiwusebenzisayo.
That is when it came out that Mrs. Kwinana is behind with the rates, electricity and water.
Lo WhatsApp ke injongo yakhe yoba singakhawulelana njani nezi rates ngoba zenziwa sithi azenziwa ngumama uKwinana.
And she then requested and asked, how can we assist in getting these rates up to date? Because we are using this electricity, we are using this water. How can we assist her in having it paid?
Saba nesivumelwano sokuba singazikhupha i-1,000 rands. Kodwa wabanayo imfobe kuba abantu abafani, kukho abantu abangenanto at all. Kukho nabantu abangazange bayikhupha. Sorry.
We came to an agreement of paying 1,000 rand each. She also showed mercy by acknowledging the fact that there were people that were not money-wise or didn't have money, so that she can also assist them.
All right.
Yonke ke loo nto ye-1,000 rands nabakwaziyo ukuthetha naye bathi asikwazi ukufikeleleka siyiqale ngo-August.
Even this 1,000 rand issue, and these people that said they cannot come up with that amount, we started it in August.
And all this that you're talking about is also in the WhatsApp groups.
So,
Yes.
okay. Zonke ezi zinto ziyavela ke ngoku ku-WhatsApp.
Ziyavela kodwa ke siyakwazi nokuthetha naye umama uKwinana ngoku akasenalo olaloyiko loba mhlawumbi angeza exhagiwe ngoba besesiyifeni.
Yes, it does appear on the WhatsApp, and we can even speak to her individually, and she no longer has the fear for her to be brought by a security personnel or people that can come and protect her, because we even became family.
Can you repeat that?
Pinda,
Umama uKwinana besesihlala naye ngoku
you were already staying with Mrs. Kwinana,
ngaphandle kuka-WhatsApp.
even without WhatsApp.
Now you mean if there's someone alleging that they were extorted in the area in which you stay, that is false.
Uba unothi umuntu apha athi yena ebenzikivwa ke ngoku kulaa ngingqi ungayibona ibubuvuvu obo.
Mhlawumbi angatsho yena kodwa mna ndiyibona ibubuvuvu.
Well, that person might say that, but I myself say that is false.
Your Worship, I may not have any further questions to this witness. That's her evidence.
So the time now is almost 1, it's time for lunch. And Mrs. Buff, the court will adjourn now until 2. Not allowed to talk to anyone during the adjournment regarding this matter.
Nkosikazi, awuzukwazi ukuthetha nophi na umuntu malunga neli tyala ke ngoku. Sizawuthatha ngomama isidlo sesemini, ubuya kwethu soqhubekela ukwazi uba uzopheka usophulwa ngemibuzo ne.